What's up, everyone? Today I'm bringing you the post commentary for the first battle in the Pokemon Fun League Draft League, which I had done a video on called The Draft about like a week ago. So my first battle was against Kommo-OK the Computer, I think that's the name of the team, and it was against Dave. And basically I just wanted to go over the team I brought before we even hopped into the battle, and why I brought what I brought, just so certain things and certain plays make sense. So I brought Heatran. I brought Heatran with an Assault Vest. I gave him Earth Power, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, and Lava Plume. Now, I brought the Assault Vest because he had a Gengar and he has a Mega Alakazam. And I was really scared of whatever super effective special moves that they might be able to dish out to my Pokemon. So I was like, you know what? I want an answer for that. So I ended up bringing Heatran with this specific set of Heatran. I dumped him into HP and Special Defense. And the 20 speed was actually to outspeed Buzzwole, which he had, and he opted not to bring. And Earth Power was for coverage, so was Lava Plume. Stab, Flash Cannon was for the Clefable, he has a Clefable, and then Dark Pulse was for the Gengar and the Alakazam. And next we have Perseus, the Manaphy, and I was like, you know what, I didn't even think about the Clefable. I did when I was making the Heatran, but I didn't when I was making Manaphy. And I was like, Tail Glow's great. I opted not to bring a Z move this week, just because, I don't know, I'm not really used to Z moves, and I didn't think like a Water EMZ, like, yeah, it could hit hard, but would it really be like worth it? I don't know. I'd figured leftovers would just be better, reliable recovery. My team really lacked that. I use Substitute just in case I catch him on like a bad play, or I swap in somewhere and I'm like, hey look, now I can sub Tail Glow and then blow through his entire team, especially if Clefable's already gone. And then Energy Ball for coverage and to hit whatever water types. So I dumped it all into HP just to live a little bit more. Speed, I believe this is so it outspeeds a Crocodile that he has, but the Crocodile ended up being choiced or something like that. And then all into Special Attack. Next is our Mega Aerodactyl. I gave it Stealth Rock because it's super fast, and I ended up leading with Aerodactyl and Aqua Tail to hit the Crocodile. Actually, it was pretty much solely for the Crocodile. Pursuit's on him, so he can hit the Mega Alakazam and the Gengar. And then Rock Slide is just, it's super effective on the Arcanine. He has a Crobat, and it's just, same type attack bonus. It's really, really nice. The 108 speed, I think is to outspeed the Crobat for sure. And then I dumped 148 into HP just to be able to live, maybe if anything gets thrown at us. Next we have Garrison, the Drapion. With Pursuit, Toxic Spikes, Poison Jab, and Aqua Tail. It's a little weird moveset for him. I wanted to be able to have the option of Toxic Spikes. Usually people run like Banded Drapion, but I was like, you know what, like, I already have a lot of firepower with the Aerodactyl and the Manaphy. I was like, maybe we could just have this guy be like a little more supportive. Pursuit, again, Mega Aerodactyl, Gengar, just get him out of here. I don't want to deal with them, My logic was, Gengar can come in, absorb the Toxic Spikes, and then I can Pursuit trap him, and then he'll be dead. And that will be a threat gotten rid of. And then Aqua Tail is so I don't get completely walled by the Crocodile. The 132 in Special Defense, I believe it's so I can live 2 Focus Blasts, maybe? I'm not totally sure. I broke it up in a specific way, but it doesn't end up mattering anyway. Next is Charlotte the Galvantula. I give him Sticky Web because obviously Thunder, Bug Buzz, and Volt Switch, it's a pretty standard Galvantula set. It's just, fast, set up webs, Volt Switch out of there, and then, whatever coverage moves that he might need to use. And lastly is Yukina, who is the Alola Ninetales. I give him the Light Clay, Freeze Dry, Heal Bell, Aurora Veil, and Hypnosis. Now, Heal Bell was just, support. Aurora Veil was the main reason to ever draft Alola Ninetales. And then Hypnosis is just in case I catch him on like a switch, or if I want to put one of his walls to sleep, for instance, Clefable, and then I could just do damage or set up an Aurora Veil and go into whoever I want. Anyway, so that is the team. Now let's get on with the actual battle itself. Yeah, so let's just get right into the battle. He actually leads with the Gengar, and I lead with my Aerodactyl. I want to set up rocks or hit something really hard. And so I Mega Evolve. He goes for the Destiny Bond right off the bat, and I'm like, oh god, is Pursuit gonna kill? And it doesn't. And I'm pretty glad. I'm like, I did not expect him to go for a Destiny Bond. He goes for it again. Now, I believe that is against the rules, technically, of the rules of our league anyway. It failed, anyway, but I was shocked. I was like, okay, like he's really trying to take down like my Aerodactyl. I think if I just pursued it here, he would be dead. But instead, I was like, okay, I don't know how Destiny Bond really works, so I just ended up going for the Stealth Rock to set up the entry hazards. I end up swapping out because I'm like, hey, I don't want my Aerodactyl dying. He goes for Destiny Bond again, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll set up in your face. This is not a big deal. So he realizes Manaphy's out, and he goes into Clefable, and I expect him. I'm like, hey, I think he's probably gonna swap. He's gonna swap to either Alakazam. I don't think I can beat Alakazam one-on-one. So I'm going to go into Charlotte, and this is a pretty okay matchup, I'd say. I end up being able to get the Sticky Webs up. He hits me with a Moonblast, and that does like a ton of damage. And I'm like, alright, well, he's getting recovery, but I'm like, okay, I got my hazards up, not a big deal. I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to go into, I believe, I go into Alola Ninetales, because I want to set up the Aurora Veil. He hits me with another Moonblast. It does a decent amount, but Ninetales is pretty especially defensive. Takes hail damage, takes a little leftover recovery. Arcanine comes in, he's slowed, he's taking rock damage, and I'm like, alright, perfect. I'm going to Hypnosis, and the Hypnosis misses, and I'm like, alright, like that's fine. It's 60% accuracy, not a big deal. Like, it would have been great to be able to Hypnosis the Arcanine, and then Aurora Veil, and then, be just good to go. But he's taking minor chip damage from the hail, and I'm like, alright, well, I don't want to get hit by a Flare Blitz, so I go into Heatran. And he sets him on Agility. And I'm like, this is really weird. I'm like, why Agility Arcanine? Like, is he really trying to plan to outspeed my Aerodactyl? He close combats the Heatran. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not a huge deal. And I just straight up go for the Earth Power. I have Earth Power as a coverage move, just specifically so I can hit this Aerodactyl, so I can hit the Gengar. And down he goes, and he lost the first Pokemon. And I'm like, alright, great. Like, one of the, fire types gone. That's great for my team. He goes into Crobat, and he defogs away all of the hazards. He defogs the Sticky Web and the Stealth Rock, and I'm like, oh man, that stinks. But I ended up hitting him with a Lava Plume, and it burns, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. That's why I carry Lava Plume and not Magma Storm. He's going to U-turn out, obviously, because he's like, oh, well, I don't think I can beat this Heatran one-on-one, and he goes into his Crocodile. And at this point, I Lava Plume, I'm praying for a burn, and it doesn't happen. And he's in with the Crocodile. Obviously, well, I paused it at a bad time. But he uses Stone Edge. And I'm like, okay, like, I should probably be able to live this. I have no idea if this Crook is banded. I don't know if he is scarfed. But he goes for Stone Edge, and I guess it's neutral, which makes, and down goes Heatran. And I'm like, okay, well, he's got Stone Edge. He's probably choiced. And I'm like, well, I want to check. And I go into Drapion, baiting an Earthquake. Going into Aerodactyl. Hopefully, we're going to fish him off. Goes for Stone Edge again, and then Aerodactyl just goes down. And I'm like, oh my god, I misplayed so hard. My Aerodactyl didn't get to do anything the entire game. I lost 100% of my health. I can't outspeed the Alakazam. I can't outspeed the Crobat. Can't outspeed the Gengar anymore. Like, what do I do? And I'm pretty sure I'm going to take him down with an Aqua Tail, right? I reveal the Aqua Tail here. He switches out, and it goes in the Crobat. I'm like, that's not, like, the biggest deal in the world. He's got 16% HP. Or now he has 10, because Burn affects him. And, I go into Manaphy. I'm like, alright, this is perfect. Crobat can't really hit me with anything. I'm going to go into Manaphy. He sets up a Tailwind. He's really, like, trying to outspeed something. Agility, Tailwind, whatever. He turns back into Clefable. Because I guess, he has the Unaware. And meanwhile, I'm thinking he has, like, Magic Guard. I'm thinking that's what walled Clefables do. But I guess he brought Unaware because he knows that I'm going to want a Tail Glow in his face. But he goes for a Wish. And we're going to have a little, like, back and forth. I'm going to figure out that he is unaware as soon as, I go for Surf right here, and it does, he protects, gets the Wish back. Next turn, I'm going to go for Surf. It's going to do, like, a third of his HP, and I'm like, okay, right, like, I forgot that Clefable had unaware. So I'm like, well, like, I guess I'm just going to switch out, because this is pretty dumb, I'm getting walled by this thing. I'm like, alright, I'm going to go into Drapion, and I have 100% HP. I'm like, I could hit him with a Poison Jab, and I could just kill him. Or, an even better idea, I think, actually, I do go for the Poison Jab right here. I want to get him. And he sends in the Crobat, which is a really interesting play. I Poison Jab the Crobat, it does all the damage, and it goes down. And I'm like, okay, that's good. We're 2-2, it ain't a big deal. Goes into Crook. I'm like, oh god, nothing can take an Earthquake. I'm going to sack Galvantula right here. And at this point, I'm sitting here like, okay, now what do we do? I send in Manaphy, because I believe I can take an Earthquake, and he's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna get surfed. And I surf him. I surf the Clefable. He's down 41%, and I'm like, well, here we are again. Manaphy Clefable. That makes perfect sense. This time, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna set up. I'm gonna go into Alola Ninetales. I'm gonna set up an Aurora Veil. I'm gonna make sure that I can take an Earthquake from that Crocodile. But I end up setting the Aurora Veil. I do have the Light Clay, so it's gonna take 8 turns for that to wear out, which is like a very long time. He goes for the Wish. I can't really do anything. I should have expected the Protect, but I go for Hypnosis because I'm a moron. And that's the second failed Hypnosis of the game. And Clefable is now sitting at fuller HP. And I'm like, alright, now I'm going to put the Clefable to sleep. And it misses again. And that's the third one, and I'm like, that's the last straw. Like, I don't even want to mess with that. So I end up switching out here. I believe I go back into Drapion. He goes for Protect. No, he doesn't. Do I go for Hypnosis again? Oh my god, I go for a 4th time. And it doesn't hit. At this point, I'm like, oh my god, I shouldn't have gone for that. At least 3rd one. I should have known he was going to do that again. He goes for the Moonblast. I still have the Aurora Veil up, so it doesn't do like very much at all. I got Black Sludge Recovery, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to go for the Toxic Spikes, actually. I ended up going for Toxic Spikes because I wanted to hopefully get one of them back on the Switch, you know? I'm like, okay, well, he can't get rid of him unless he goes into Gengar. And I'm like, I can just kill the Gengar whenever it comes in. Goes for an Earthquake, still have Aurora Veil, doesn't do very much. I'm gonna hit him with a Surf. He decides to sack the Gengar to die to the Surf, but also gets rid of the Toxic Spikes and then hits me with a Cursed Body. So I'm like, okay, now I can't Surf this Crocodile. I still have Energy Ball, but at this point he sends an Alakazam. And I'm like, oh god, I don't want to get destroyed by whatever special attack he sends out. And I go into Drapion because I'm like, okay, I have Pursuit. This is going to be fine. He has the Energy Ball, which is really, really interesting. And I'm like, okay, well, I just took Energy Ball like a champ. Like, he's not going to want to stay in on this Dark type. He might try to Focus Blast me. I don't know if I'll live it. At this point, Aurora Veil's gone. And the most clutch moment of the entire match happens. He tries to switch out. I pursued him. And there he goes. Both of our Megas got one-hit KO'd this match. Both of them didn't do basically anything. And I'm like, okay, great. Now it's a 2-on-3. And he sends in the Crook. And I'm like, oh, God. And so there's some super mind game thing going on here. He ends up going for the Superpower and not the Earthquake. I think I waited long enough that he thought that I was going to go into Manaphy. And I'm not sure why he went for Superpower, actually. All things considered, if he went for Earthquake, I was about to let Garrison go down. I was going to outspeed him, hopefully, because I thought he was banded. I was going to hopefully outspeed him with Ninetales. And then I was going to Aurora Veil. And hopefully, I was going to Hypnosis one of them. And then Manaphy was just going to Surf. And then I thought I might win the game. But either way, he goes for the Superpower here. And I'm like, that's really interesting. I wasn't sure exactly what he was going for. But I'm going to take it. I'm going to Aqua Tail the Crocodile. And down he goes. And at this point, I'm like, okay, great. It's just the Clefable. I have, my Poison Jabbing Drapion. I have my Aurora Veil. I have Surfs. And 65% damage. I get the Poison. At that point, it's GG. And I'm like, wow, this is a 3+3 victory. It's my first week ever as draft battling. And it was so much fun. I mean, they had a stream. They were commentating, which I'll put in the description. And it was super cool. And I'm really glad I was able to clutch a victory on week 1. That was a super crazy battle. It was really close. A lot of mind games going on. Definitely a great learning experience going into future weeks. And this was a lot of fun to do. And it was a lot of fun to commentate. So I think I'm going to do this for the rest of the battles that I end up doing. Obviously I have like whatever intro animation and stuff, and so I'm gonna just use those. It was fun. It was good, and it was neat watching the battle back because they did have the stream, and I kept hearing what they wanted me to do, and they were like, "Why doesn't this Drapion go for knockoff?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't bring knockoff, which might have been a mistake, but either way, it ended up fine. I misplayed a little bit with the Aerodactyl, but all things considered, and going for Hypnosis a bunch of times with Ninetales." But all things considered, I feel like I played pretty well, and I'm looking forward to next week. So, if you guys like this, stick around. There'll be more of it.